So I hesitated a lot to do the next series of videos, but I think it's time and it has to be done. Basically, my main concern these days is that Tai Chi as it's practiced right now is basically kind of crap. And it's nobody's fault. It's a series of historical events that essentially led the Tai Chi that is now done in most of the US and Europe to be a very watered down version of the Tai Chi that evolved over 100 years ago, 200 years now. And so one of the things I would like to do is to go over that history and kind of map out what we lost, essentially. What were the events that erased a giant chunk of the Tai Chi knowledge, essentially, and brought us to this point, right? Because Tai Chi used to be one of the most fearsome martial arts in there. It's one of the reasons that it became famous is because it was so potent as a martial art. And now it's basically the laughing stock of the martial world. And so the question is why? What happened? And that's the question that I want to answer. And I'm going to try to answer that by going over the historical events, like I said, but also go over some of the ideas that we as Westerners especially don't understand because they're grounded in a Chinese history. And it's a history which is also not accessible to most Chinese. That's one of the reasons why it's so difficult to deal with all these issues, because the history that I'm talking about is a history that was purposely erased at the turn of the 19th century. So basically in the 1900s. And from 1900s on through the Cultural Revolution in China, there was an enormous effort made to erase this history. So most Chinese themselves don't know the history of Tai Chi. And that's where we fall into all of these kind of myths. It's like, oh, it's, this Taoist immortal, kind of created it, 1,000 years ago and blah, blah, blah. A lot of that is junk. It's not true. There's also a lot of junk about the applications and how Tai Chi actually works. And again, it's because of specific historical events. So my hope is that there's enough people out there who are interested in the real roots of Tai Chi to find this interesting and to go along. I am not claiming to be an expert in any of this. I have over 30 years of experience in Tai Chi. I've done other martial arts. Some of them are hard styles, but I've also done things like Aikido and Judo and things like that. So most of my criticisms of Tai Chi are actually grounded on my experience doing other martial arts and seeing what the holes are in the Tai Chi that we practice today. Some of my criticisms are also the fact that there are holes in the theory that we're using to do Tai Chi. There are holes in the way that we do push hands and how we view push hands and the role of push hands within the Tai Chi world. So things like that. So there's a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to try to cover it in some logical manner, an engaging manner, and hopefully you will be interested in that as well. So I will see you later.